Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha, Madhava Radha. Jaya Radha, Jaya Radha, Jaya Radha, Jaya Sri Radha. Jaya Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva, Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotra Satat Systematic Divine Grace Iskon Pandacharya Srila Abhacharya Vena Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotra Satat Srimad is Divine Grace, La Bhakti Siddhanta, Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavina Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Koti Ki Jai, Prem Si Kahau Si Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Si Advaita Gadadhar Si Vasadi Si Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai, Sisi Radha Krishna, Gopal Gopinath, Syamakunda Radha Kunta Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Sirvrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Simathura Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Maya Yamuna Maya Ki Jai, Srimati Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glory is to the sum of devotees. All glory is to the sum of devotees. All glory is to the sum of devotees. All glory is all glory to Sisi Gora and Sri Goranga. Two, 5. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyam Satato Jaya Mudirai Nastra Paye Sabhadesu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavaiti Naistiki. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, text 26 to 29. So what to do? I start with this? I start with all right. I want to make a plea. Those who are sitting behind the pillars, hiding behind the pillars, we are supposed to be one family, Prabhupada's family. Please come out. We're having a special meeting, so come out from your hiding, come out from behind the pillars. And if you're sitting and looking on the other side, you can also face us because we are in a meeting. Oh, translation, okay. Translation, okay. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 texts for today, and we just hold it together. It's text 29, and then we'll go to the word-for-word translation and translation on purport. Visheshastu Vikurvana Ambaso Gandhavan Abut Paramvayat Rasa Spasa Sabdarupa Gunam Vita Visechastu Vikurvana Ambaso Gandhavana Bhut Paramvayat Rasa Spasa Sabdarupa Gunan Vita Visesastu Vikurvana Ambaso Gandhavana Bhut Parampayat Rasaspasa Sabdarupa Gunanvitaha. Can someone try? Ladies, marriages. So, word for word translation. Nambasaha of the sky. Hata does. Vikuranat being transformed. Abud generated. Spasa touch. Gunaha quality. Anilaha air. Para previous. Anwayat by succession. Sabdavan full of sound. Cha also. Prana life. Ojaha sense perception. Saha fat. Balam strength. Vayu of the air. Api also. Vikuranat by transformation. Kala time. Karma reaction of the past. Swabhavataha on the basis of nature. Udapadyata generated. Tejaha fire. Vai duly. Rupavat with form. Sparsa, touch. Sabdavat, with sound also. Tejasaha, of the fire. 2. Birth. Vikuranat, on being transformed. As it so happened. Ambaha, water. Rasa Atmakam, composed of juice. Rupawat, with form. Rasawat, with thought. Cha, and Ambaha, water. Gosawat, with sound. Cha, and Para, previous. Anvayat, by succession. Viseshaha, variegatedness. 2. Birth. Vikuranat, by transformation. Anabasaha, of water. Gandhavan, odorous. Abut, became. Para, previous. Anmayat, by succession. Rasa, juice. Spasa, touch. Sabda, sound. Rupa, guna, anvitaha, qualitative. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, His Confounded Srila Bhakti Vasudeva Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Because the sky. Oh, really? Okay. Because the sky is transformed, the air is generated with the quality of touch. And by previous succession, the air is also full of sound and the basic principles of duration of life. Sense perception, mental power, and bodily strength. When the air is transformed in course of time and nature's cause, fire is generated, taking shape with the sense of touch and sound. Since fire is also transformed, there is a manifestation of water, full of juice and taste. As previously, it also has form and touch, and is also full of sound. And water being transformed from all variegatedness on earth appears odorous, and as previously, becomes qualitatively full of juice, touch, sound, and form, respectively. Please kindly, responsibly repeat. Because the sky is transformed, the air is generated with the quality of touch. And by previous succession, the air is also full of sound and the basic principles of duration of life. Sense perception, mental power, and bodily strength. When the air is transformed in course of time and nature's cause, fire is generated, taking shape with the sense of touch and sound. Since fire is also transformed, there is a manifestation of water, full of juice and taste. As previously, it also has form and touch, and is also full of sound. And water, being transformed from all variegatedness on earth, appears odorous and, as previously, becomes qualitatively full of juice, touch, sound, and form respectively. This is a good text, you know, but it's complex. Purport. The whole process of creation is an art of gradual evolution and development from one element to another, reaching up to the variegatedness of the art as so many trees, plants, mountains, rivers, reptiles, birds, animals, and varieties of human beings. The quality of sense perception is also evolutionary, namely generated from sound, then touch, and from touch to form. Taste and odor are also generated along with gradual developments of sky, air, fire, water, and earth. They are all mutually the cause and effect of one another. But the original cause is the Lord himself in plenary portion as Mahavishnu, lying in the causal ocean of the Mahatattva. As such, Lord Krishna is described in the Brahma Samhita as the cause of all causes, and this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 10:8, as follows. Aham sarvasapa bhavu, mata sarvam pravartate, iti mantu apajanti mam, buddha bhava samavitaha. The qualities of sense perception are fully represented in the earth, and they are manifested in other elements to a lesser extent. In the sky there is sound only, whereas in the air there are sound and touch. In the fire there are sound, touch, and shape, and in the water there is taste also, along with the other perceptions, namely sound, touch, and shape. In the earth, however, there are all the above-mentioned qualities with the extra development of order also. Therefore, on the earth there is a full display of variegatedness of life, which is originally started with the basic principle of air. Diseases of the body take place due to derangement of air within the earthly body of the living beings. Mental diseases result from special derangement of the air within the body, and as such, yogic exercise is especially beneficial to keep the air in order so that diseases of the body become almost nil by such exercises. When they are properly done, the duration of life also increases, and one can have control over death also by such practices. A perfect yogi can have command over death and quit the body at the right moment when he is competent to transfer himself to a suitable planet. The Bhakti yogi, however, surpasses all the yogis because by dint of his devotional service, he is promoted to the region beyond the material sky and is placed in one of the planets in the spiritual sky by the supreme will of the Lord, the controller of everything. Om Gyanat Mirandasya, Gyanajana Salakaya, Siksol Meditam, Yanatisma, Si Guruve Namaha. Si Chaitanya Manovistam, Stafi Tam Jena Bhutali, Swayam Rupam Kadamadam, Danti Swapadantika. Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda Sahodata, Gurudaya Puspavantu, Chita Chandratamona. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadara, Sri Vasari, Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pesaya Bhutale, Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Anirvisesa Sonyavadi Pasatya Desatari Vanchakalpatari Decha Kripasundhya Evacha Patitanam Pavana So welcome to this segment of our get-together, spiritual get-together, which is the Bhagavatam class. So this chapter basically is giving us some insight, a conversation between Lord Brahma and Narada Muni. Narada Muni is making some inquiries about the process of creation. And Lord Brahma, the supreme teacher of the whole universe, the secondary creator, is giving some insight, giving illumination on how this whole manifestation came to be. Because the engineer who conducts the research and generated a particular machine, he can give you a better idea about the content of the machine, how to operate the machine, and the defaults that could be there, and how to utilize the machine maximally for a sustainable future. So Lord Brahma, he's being questioned by Narada Muni, but Lord Brahma has a special relationship with Lord Brahma. So he's a big preacher, and Lord Brahma loves him, because even in the Sringa Kavacha, there are two Sringa Kavachas. One is spoken by Lord Brahma, and one is spoken by Prahlad. Now, the one that was spoken by Lord Brahma, Narada was making inquiries about, how did Indra become saved from all of the Holocaust, from the demons and all this stuff. And Lord Brahma started with Sunu Narada Bhakshami. My dear Narada, listen to me. I will answer your questions. Why? Because you are the best of my sons. Putra sister. Why are you the best of my sons? Because you are tapodhana. Your qualification is that you have tapodhana. You have the wealth of austerity. And what is that wealth of austerity? You travel around the whole cosmic creation, and even to the spiritual world and to the hellish planets, to deliver people from the onslaught of birth and death. So it's not only Lord Krishna who had mentioned in the Gita that someone who is preaching his messages is very dear to him. Even Lord Brahma says that. Someone who is preaching the messages of Godhead is very dear to him. So that is exemplified in his assertion that Narada Muni is the best of sons, Putra sister. And so here we find that relationship lingers on, because as a global or interplanetary preacher, he also has a teacher, the best student becomes the best teacher of the future. And no one becomes a teacher without being a student. Narada Muni always had that opportunity of being instructed by Lord Brahma. And he chose that opportunity as a prime benediction for himself and for the purpose of expediting his preaching engagements in spreading the mission of Lord Krishna to all nooks and crannies. So here in this very couple of texts, which is very scientific, people like Dhrutakama Prabhu will be the best person to give illumination on this type of scientific things, because he done so much of research and written so many books that diffuse the scientific idea that life comes from just evolution. So, in a sense, we have the jewel of all scientific values, which is the Bhagavatam. And the Bhagavatam gives us full details of how the material creation actually came to be, beginning with Mahavishnu. And if you read the Bhagavatam, it gives you lucid details on how, step by step, how everything became manifest. Now, unfortunately, even some people who are born in India, they say the Bhagavatam is a mythology. Just unfortunate. But mythology means something that is like a fiction, something that never existed. Vrindavan is there, where Lord Krishna had a lot of wonderful pastimes. Mathura, where Lord Krishna first appeared, is also there. So how is it a mythology? Because they hear some Western scholars refer to the Vedic tradition as mythology.
And you see, I mean, this is what I refer to as paratology. You hear someone say something, and you don't understand it. Bhakti Siddhanta gave this idea of one Bengali boy who was trying to learn English. And because he didn't really understand, so whatever he hears, he just repeats it. Whether he asks him bad thing or good thing, he says yes, 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 because he had heard yes. And so, people who are endowed with the wealth of the Vedic literature, see, the average Indian child has heard about Krishna maybe before he was 5 years old. They may not explain to the person that Krishna is two Bhagavan Swayam, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as delineated in the Bhagavad Gita by Lord Krishna himself, as referred to here by Srila Prabhupada. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, manta sarvam pravartate, iti bhatu bhajantam, Buddha bhava. It takes people who have sufficient buddhi, intelligence. Some people who have sumedasa, superlative intelligence, to become worshippers of Lord Krishna. And because the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Vedic literatures were written by Krishna himself in the form of Srila Vyasadeva. And so, Vyasadeva is the literary incarnation of Lord Krishna. And the purpose of this Vedic literature, the whole bulk of the Vedic literature, the purpose is to understand Krishna. If we miss that point, the purpose becomes completely defeated. Because when we want to do something or we plan to do something, well, the first question that comes to mind is, what is the purpose? What am I going to achieve? What is the goal? What am I going to achieve? And with the goal in mind, you map out some objectives. Objectives are the strategies you use in achieving that goal. So Prabhupada has given us a legacy, provided a legacy for his society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, that we study the Bhagavatam, we study his books. And he had warned us, because the preliminary cantos of the Bhagavatam, they could be very complex. And so the tendency is to jump to the 10th canto and, discuss about the gopis, because we want some cheap things. Now, how many people will even read this whole chapter and understand the content? Except you have scientific brain. Now, and everyone is not having scientific brain. Prabhupada has run down the whole system into a very simple process. Okay, in Kali Yoga, we don't have the brain substance to be able to understand complex things, complex discussions. And so we act like Lord Chaitanya Prabhu, who told Prakasananda Saraswati, I don't read Vedanta. I don't study Vedanta because, my guru told me I'm a fool. I just chant Hare Krishna. So we could also adopt that system. Oh, this is really very complex. I don't even understand what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. Yeah, accept it. But we can do one thing. What is that? To chant Hare Krishna and take prasadam. Because not everyone, but those who are intellectuals, they enjoy it. I remember, one boy from South America, he was doing his PhD at one of the universities in Ohio. So he used to visit Columbus Temple. And then he kept complaining that, because he's not doing his PhD in religion, it's of no use. So I told him, hey, what do you mean? We have scientists in a movement. So you are doing pure science. I think he was doing his PhD in physics. I said, your service is waiting for you there in the Bhakti Vedanta Institute. That is where you fit in. So don't think that you're wasting your time. So he continued, he finished. But you know what he did? When he finished his PhD, he went to Columbia to do a postdoctoral program. And when someone goes to do a postdoctoral program, the general evaluation, the assessment, or the conclusion is that, he wants to take up a professorship job. But no, he went moving to the temple to become a brahmachari. And so sometimes we are afraid of sending our children to school because we are thinking, when they know too much, they will not become devotees. And essentially, our literatures, there are simple ones that simply tell you how to chant Hare Krishna. But also, there are the complex ones. For instance, if you read the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, it's really complex. And so, there is nothing, circumscribing us from the absolute truth. If even we don't have the capacity to understand complex things, we can do one thing, which is the sum and substance of all of these complexities or these complex philosophies and all this stuff. And that's why if you look, in the purport, Prabhupada just brought it down to one thing. Krishna is the source of everything, the source of all of these material elements. He is the source of creation. So if we worship Krishna, we don't need to bother ourselves with so much of complexity. We don't need to crack our brains. And that is why the beauty of Krishna consciousness should be appreciated. Because we're not asking people to come and sit down and study Vedanta or study the 5th canto or study, this chapter, which is a little bit complex, Canto 2, chapter 5. And people come to class for this, on these very topics, they will feel, this philosophy is too difficult. I mean, I didn't understand whatever Prabhupada said in the purport. I didn't understand whatever, Brahma is saying. I don't understand what he's saying. Yeah, it's complex. But some people should be trained up. Prabhupada said, we should train up some of our devotees to become candidates, to be able to deliver the complex subject matters of the Vedic literatures to those who are also complex in their thinking. There are some people out there, they're very complex in their thinking. If you tell them Krishna is true, Bhagavan Swayam, they say, I don't believe in God. So if they say, I don't believe in God, what are you going to do? You're going to stop your preaching? No. And therefore, it is important for us to understand the metaphysics of the analytical values of the Krishna consciousness philosophy, analytical values of the Bhagavatam, and bear in mind that the essence is what is most important. See, you read Prabhupada's purports, either in the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada brings down everything to Krishna is the worshipable deity. Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. And a number of people, they may even worship Krishna, but they are not Vaishnavas. And they could be Panchapachakas. They worship this demigod, that demigod, that demigod. And they think everything is equal. But no, everything is not equal, because we don't say because there is variegatedness in the material world, and then we conclude that, everything is the same. No, everything is not the same. Variegatedness implies that there is distinction. Things are different. People are perceived different. People have different perceptions. People have different values, different qualities. And so, the Bhagavatam gives us a lot of information, and we should start reading the Bhagavatam from these early cantos. Instead of jumping to the 10th canto, I was reading something on the internet, and one devotee, he had written so much about what is transpiring these days in the Hare Krishna movement. Now, he's been to one of the temples in India, one of the biggest temples in India. And he saw all of these books by the previous acharyas on esoteric teachings. And Prabhupada never wanted us to be involved in those esoteric teachings, because if people get into that stage when they are still engrossed in sense gratification, in sex life, they will simply commit offenses. And so, yes, these complex things are there. Well, we live in the complex things to go, and we want to go for the cheap thing. But the cheap thing is very dangerous. It's very dangerous for our spiritual life. And essentially, what the content of the universe is also within us. I mean, we have 8 primary elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. But those all 8 primary elements are also within this body. In other words, those primary elements are endogenous and exogenous. Exogenous means they are outside of the body, in the universe, and they are also inside within us. In other words, the body itself is a small universe. And who owns the universe? Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is still the controller. He is still in charge. And so when we have a body, specifically the human form of life, and it's not utilized to understand Krishna, it's not utilized in devotional service to attain perfection, the purpose of that acquisition of that rare human form of life becomes defeated. And so the whole program that Prabhupada has set up in his society, in ISKCON, is that we go to bed early to be able to wake up to come to Mangarati and to be able to chant before we go out to our different professional duties for those who are professionals. And I've seen this in a number of temples in India, like in Delhi. Mangarati people, I mean, the whole hall is filled up. And after the japa, you see people zooming out. Some people come to the Mangarati with their ties. Oh, you're going to the office, but they stop for Mangarati, they participate in the Mangarati, participate in japa, and they zoom out, going to work. And so this process is meant for everybody. And we don't need to have sophisticated brains to read complex things or to understand complex things like the creation. But it is also good for us to understand these complex subject matters so that we can make some comparative analysis when people tell us that the world is simply a creation of some type of accident. But the Bhagavatam gives us the details. Now, one basic fundamental thing, one fault with science is that, especially with the Darwin's theory of evolution, which is widely accepted in the world of science or outside there. And my argument is that, that if the scientists, if they subscribe to, say, the Bhagavatam this thesis, they will lose their jobs. They will lose their jobs because the scientists have been seen as, the devotees. I mean, I remember one scientist was telling me the other day how, one devotee in America, he told another devotee, he's a professor, a proper disciple, he told another devotee that he has a PhD in some field, I think in religion. So he told, he's a householder, he told another devotee that, in Kali Yoga, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took science to be able to preach. Because when he took science, people could listen to him. And he took science, so he had a tridanda. I mean, he had a danda. And he said, this devotee, he said that in Kali Yoga, the danda that helps you to preach, he said the danda that helps you to preach is your PhD. So I was just laughing because it's funny. And then that devotee, he says, Swami, one of these gurus. So he went to Harvard to get a PhD, and he's preaching vigorously with that. So the point is that we have complex subject matters to deal with. And some people, and Dr. Kama has done a lot of works. How many of you have read his books? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so those of you who are scientifically minded, avail yourself with his books because they're very, very powerful, very, very insightful. And following in the footsteps of Prabhupada, he talks and counteracts. He wrote and counteracted all of the so-called points of the mundane scientists. Now, the important thing for us is to be able to understand that, yes, not everyone is going to have the scientific mind. Because our faces are not the same. Our priority sequence also varies. And we have different values. We have different karmas also. But at least, the chanting of the Hare Krishna, which Lord Chaitanya inaugurated, could be done by anybody and everyone. No, I cannot chant Hare Krishna because of this and this. Yes? Anybody? So the basic principle, and Lord Chaitanya founded this movement based on the principle of synergy, is a model where many people coming to do one thing yields more result than individuals doing it separately and bringing the results together. So never mind, yes, this chapter is complex, but if you can understand, don't force yourself. There are simple things to do. Sometimes we see people do things and then we want to also do like them. Huh? Everyone is not going to be doing the same thing. And so, yes, there are simple things we can do if we can't understand the high-profile philosophy that is embedded in the Bhagavatam, especially with this chapter and Canto 5, which gives us detailed information about the process of creation. Bottom line, Prabhupada gives us the fundamental idea behind the whole creation. Krishna. Aham sarvasya pabhava, mata sarvam pavatati, iti mantra bhajanti ma, Buddha bhava samavita. So all of you who have taken to this process of Krishna consciousness, you have high intelligence. And that's why you took to it. So we should be careful when we deal with people of high intelligence. We should treat people very nicely and not think that, because I've been there for 50 years and so you're just coming. Yeah, the person has high intelligence. It's a matter of time. He will climb up. So we should treat people nicely, understanding that this person has high intelligence because he is taken to Krishna consciousness. And because he is recognized that Krishna is the source of everything, the material and the spiritual. And because he is serving Lord Krishna, he is very dear to Lord Krishna. Yes? Any comments or questions? Hare Krishna. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj, for this class. In the course of the class, you did mention how Lord Chaitanya took sannyas in order to preach. So my question is, in our movement, can ladies take sannyas? If yes, what is the procedure? And if not, why not?
You want to take sannyas?
Yes.
I endorse you, but the GBC will not. Okay, that's a nice question. You see, we should be desperate. You see, what men can do, women in most cases can even do better, Yeah, I've seen that in my interaction with, you see, I went to Durgapur. I was invited by one professor. She is the head of department for mathematics. And, so what does the Swami have to do with, mathematicians? What are you going to tell them? Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam? And she has like 13 PhD students that she is supervising. She had over 200 publications, and she has over 2,000 citations. And if you see that lady walk past here, you may be thinking that she's very simple. You may be thinking this is somebody maybe from the village. She never went to college, but she has a PhD in mathematics. So, mathematics is something that people struggle with. There there is a disease that is related to mathematics. If I can't remember, because some students who were struggling with mathematics, they revealed that, that terminology to me. And see, it's a lady who is leading the change for mathematical evolution in one of the best institutions in India. So yes, women can also take science, but they may not necessarily officially, carry a danda. Science actually means renunciation, and renunciation, basically, according to Lord Krishna, it doesn't mean something artificial. So someone has a good desire, they could just become detached from all sense enjoyment, sense gratification, and dedicate their lives to reading Prabhupada's books, preaching, etc., taking care of devotees. Renunciation implies that we are utilizing everything. That is yukta vairagya. We're using everything at our disposal for serving the Lord. Using all of our resources in serving the Lord. So, in ISKCON, incidentally, we've not gone to the stage yet where women, when women take official, dandas, the stick. But science means preaching. So if a woman is preaching, if a Mataji is preaching, detached, she's a science-ini. You don't need that official stamp or a stick to move around. But it's a very interesting question, Thank you so much. Yeah, desire is very good. We should have that type of strong desire to preach. And yeah, to give up sense gratification is very difficult. And to give up family life is very difficult, because Prabhupada mentioned a number of times in his purpose that when you get to the age of 50, you should be preparing to take Vanaprastha. Some devotees in ISKCON, they took to Vanaprastha, took sannyas and all this stuff. I know one typical case in America, I know the case of Badun Ryan in San Diego. So, yeah, to take sannyas means to expand the preaching. And if you have that desire, may Krishna bless you to expand your horizon, your preaching horizon. Hare Krishna. Any other comments? Yes. Okay.
You said one Prabhuji was telling that PhD is the danda to preach. So for sannyas.
According to him.
So no, Maharaj, has Mataji done PhD, then she already has her danda.
Oh, so she has a PhD?
I'm asking. Then she has the danda.
So you already have the danda, Any other comments? What's the time there? 8:55. 9 o'clock? All right, I will take this. All right, thank you for participating in this Krishna consciousness. Thank you for coming to the Bhagavatam class. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.